Yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, vinssica101, and this is the first Vin Talks. And in this series of Vin Talks, it's basically just me talking about just some of my favorite subjects. Today's topic, the first topic, is going to be comic books. I was going to be doing some sort of podcast, but I just kind of winging it by myself, so I didn't really want to call it a podcast. So it's vinssica101 Talks. So with that said, I'm just gonna rifle off some random facts that I found, like the most recent selling of Superman #1, and for just a raw one, is about close to $9,500, which is pretty good for an old comic. Um, let's see. For the first, the Crow, which is a James Blur comic book. First print, raw, sold. One of the most recent sold for $670. I don't know why, but the first print. That's the first print. The second print is about $290. That's kind of like a grail that I would like to get. A grade of 10 for the first print is close to $9,090 or so. A second print of a grade 10 is about $6,400, which, once again, that's pretty pricey for a comic from 1989. TMNT, the first comic, raw, is worth about $590. And the second print for that is about $1,000. So the second print might actually be worth more. So in a 9.5, the original TMNT goes for about $2,000, which that's pretty pricey for a comic book. And once again, the second print at a 9.8 goes for about $15,000, which, once again, that is a pretty pricey comic, but especially for a second edition. Let's get more into the nitty-gritty of what maybe some people think about comic books and stuff like that, which I would call the good, bad, and the ugly. With that said, the good, bad, and the ugly, I'm going to start off with the ugly. What typical people would say, like, comic books are childish, immature, not real literature, stereotypes. The stereotypes of fans are like nerdy and geeks and stuff like that. But comic books have become more mainstream, of course, and I think that is more and more prevalent every single year. And it also people would say that it kind of like promotes violence, but I don't see that. That's like saying that video games promote violence. So we're going to move on to the next part of the good, bad, and the ugly, which is the bad. I really didn't find too much bad, except for maybe the cost of some of those older comics. They go for crazy, and the next thing that would be availability, the scarcity of these comics. They're not going to be printed again, and if they are printed again, they're not worth what the original ones are worth. And sexualization inside a lot of the comic books, I'd think that a lot of people would say that some of the comics are like very maybe sexist too, just because of like how they portray some of the women in the comic books. And that's about that's what I'd say. Kind of some of the bad things are about comic books and stuff like that. But of course, let's get to the good. The good of comic books is it does enriches you and enriches your literacy, because you are reading, and it's enhancing your reading skills as far as like improving comprehension, vocabulary, and just you know just increasing your reading confidence, because that's something that I definitely can lean into. When you read stuff that you like, you definitely get more into it. So it, yep. So like I said, it fosters literacy, visual literacy, um, sparks your imagination, also creativity. Gives you more great ideas and stuff like that. Um, it's a great form of entertainment, and it also helps you engage with others, and so you can talk about some of your favorite comics and what you do like and what you don't like, of course. And the educational, potential there is just, like I said before, it's enhancing your vocabulary, your literacy, and just, overall confidence. And I think that in itself is probably the one thing that we need more inside the schools and stuff, is people promoting comic books and promoting literature that students and staff alike would like to read. So yeah, we're gonna move on. And so for this last area topic or whatever, we're gonna go into some the top 10. I think that I have. I don't know if I have 10. I have well over 10 comics, of course, but I just wanted to point out maybe a couple that you might want to read personally. That I'll start off with a banger. This run right here, The Last Ronin. The Last Ronin is about the last Ninja Turtle. One of the Ninja Turtles survives an attack from over the years and stuff like that, and he is the last. He's basically the last turtle, and I'm not going to ruin who the last actual Ronin is. You can go online if you want and search it up real quick. But I think that I can throw a spoiler your way and just say it's usually like one of everybody's favorite Ninja Turtles that actually is the last Ronin. With that said, we're going to move on to the next comic or comic strip that you should definitely check out, is The Watchmen. The Watchmen is a very graphic type novel, and very, very much adult, and it has a lot of adult type content in it. And once again, that's either hit or miss. Sometimes people like some of that type of stuff, some people don't. But well, like I said, we're just, I'm just jabberjawing about some of the my favorite reads so far. And yeah, I hope that maybe you will take some of these suggestions and go and check out it, and maybe you might find a little bit of love inside some of these books. The next is just quintessentially the essentials. Any type of essential, they have these probably at all comic book stores. You can get them in your X-Men, your Daredevil, and it's an overall, it's just kind of like a, has a bunch of, this one has a bunch of Dracula. I just loved it. I picked two, over time I picked a couple of them up, and yeah, it's just some great stuff to be able to read. This next one, I'm not going to show I don't want to, be demonetized by anything, but the next one is Mouse. It's basically the Holocaust, but it's in rat form, the mice. It's a two-part book. I have both books. Once again, it's a solid read. Make sure that you go on and take a good gander at them, and I hope that you enjoy them. Um, Another one that I don't know if this is necessarily a comic book, but it was in Nintendo Power. These short comics, so I would consider it a comic book. Um, it really is an awesome book. Um, if you get a chance, make sure that you go check it out. Check that out. Super Mario Bros. Adventures, or Super Mario Adventures, which, once again, I remember my brother having that as a kid, and then being able to read it myself. It's awesome. Um, this this next comic is a local exclusive for. It's called Powerbomb, or Do a Powerbomb. It has some of the my local comic book store, which is Jetpack Comics. Um, some of the people that work at the store are actually in the cover itself, which is pretty awesome. The artist put them in there, and yeah, it's an awesome read. Once again, if you get a chance, they just put out, like, I think today's like the 7th. No, Saturday the 7th. So it's like the 4th. Today's the 4th. Anyway, they just put out another release of these. So if you don't live in state, you can definitely go online to jetpackcomics.com and go and get yourself one of those cool copies. And I don't think that I have to tell anybody to go check these guys out. It's the Ninja Turtles, TMNT. If you can get some of the old Eastman and Laird comics, go for it. Like I said, one of my favorite comic series that you can really get into. The next would be The Crow, but this is the hack and slash series, which I think that there's 3 or 4 books. I have 3 out of the 4. I need the 4th one, and I'll get that eventually. But once again, highly suggested. Any of those Crow comic books by IDW are really good. And if you can, and if you do have the original Crow, hats off to you. The James Blur version of The Crow is definitely a sought-after comic for me personally. It's one of my grails. And with that said, go read some Batman. This is the 3 Jokers. This series has three different versions of the Joker. That all live pretty much in this, I think, the same universe. Also, talking about Batman, go check out what's it called? The Batman Who Laughs, it's the Batman Who Laughs, and it's basically a Batman that turns evil. It's slamming. It's an amazing series. It has it branched out into all the other worlds and stuff like that as far as DC goes. And the last one, Lobo. Lobo is, especially just this one in particular, this series has 4 comics to it. It's the Contract on GAWD, or Contract on God. This is brutal. This is a brutal comic. All 4 of them are amazing. It got me into reading Lobo, and if I could suggest anything else, go check out some of those comic books. I am vinssica101. This was the first vinssica101 talks, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Please do me a solid, hit the like button. I will be covering all sorts of different topics. As you can see behind me, you can just see Ninja Turtles behind me tonight, but you'll see different areas of my collection and stuff like that as I start doing more and more. And I promise that I will be touching on more comic book stuff as the future comes and stuff like that. With that said, I am vinssica101, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.